So next I am going to discuss one more special case, case 2. Started discuss special cases in the elastic potential energy concept, that is potential energy concept, and we're also using work energy theorem. So next I consider a block of mass m suspended by a light vertical spring of force constant K, which obeys Hooke's law. The mass m is suppose originally at rest in the equilibrium position. That means upper end of the string is the upper end of the spring, not string. The upper end of the spring is connected to a rigid support, and the block of mass m is attached to the lower end of the spring. The suspended mass is originally at rest in its equilibrium position. The length of the spring, when it is not stretched, unstretched, denoted L naught. But here the spring is stretched by some distance, denoted by x subscript e. That means x subscript e represents the elongation of the spring in the original equilibrium position of the block. Or you can write x1, otherwise x subscript e or x1. So next, a constant force F is suppose applied on the block vertically downwards. I am going to discuss how to calculate the magnetic velocity of the block at any instant during subsequent motion, and how to find maximum displacement of the block from this initial equilibrium position. So here two forces are acting on the block in the original equilibrium position. Its weight mg acts vertically downwards, and elastic force by the spring acts upwards. So the block here exerts a force on spring in the downward direction. So the reaction force by spring on the block acts upwards. So in the original equilibrium position, the first figure I've shown, the original equilibrium position, net force on the block in the original equilibrium position of the block, resultant force on the block is 0. So measure the resultant force of the block in the downward direction. Mg minus k into xe, that is 0, or k into xe equal to mg in magnitude. Xe represents the elongation of spring. In the original equilibrium of the block, m is the mass of the block, k is the elastic force constant spring. Now let us suppose a constant force F is applied on the block vertically downwards. Please don't copy this working, just only concentrate to listen. You will be shown the notes later. The notes will be shown to you later. You can copy it later. At present, you just concentrate only to listen. So let us go to the constant force F is applied on the block vertically downwards in the direction of its weight mg. So in the second figure, I am showing the situation. The block is displaced vertically downwards by some distance s below its original equilibrium position. Let V denote the magnetic velocity of the block at this instant. So the magnetic, the elastic force by the spring, will be equal to K times the elongation from its natural length. So here the elongation spring from natural length in the second figure. XF equal to XE plus S. XI is the initial elongation of spring, that is denoted by endoreal equilibrium pressure of the block, that is equal to denoted XE. Now that means the constant force F of magnitude F is applied on the block vertically downwards in this vernal equilibrium position of the block when it is initially at rest in the vernal equilibrium position. You are given a question based on this special case, one of the previous entrance examinations. I can tell you the year also, 1995 MSET, the engineering entrance in Andhra Pradesh. So I am discussing the calculation now. I am going to apply work energy theorem to find the relationship between the magnitude of velocity of the block and elongation and displacement of the block from the initial position. According to the work energy theorem, change in the kinetic energy of the block is equal to total work done by all the forces acting on the block. That is, change in the kinetic of the block is equal to work done by the gravitational force of the block plus work done by the constant force applied on the block in the downward direction plus work done by the elastic force by spring. Here the block is initially at rest in the vernal equilibrium position before the application of this constant force F. So initial velocity is 0, initial kinetic is 0. Final kinetic energy of the block we can write half mv square. So delta K is equal to change in the kinetic energy of the block, which you can write final kinetic energy of the block in this position on the right side minus initial kinetic energy in the vernal equilibrium position. Initial kinetic energy at the vernal equilibrium position is 0. The gravitational force mg acts in the direction of the displacement of the block, and this gravitational force can be treated like a constant force. So work done with gravitational force, therefore you can mg into s, because the gravitational force mg acts in the direction of the displacement s. The constant force F also acts in the direction of the displacement of the block. So work done by the constant force F when it acts in the direction of the displacement is given by F into s. So work done by elastic force by the spring, we can write half K into xi square minus xf square. Xi is the initial elongation of spring in the first figure on the left side, which is equal to xe. Xf is the final elongation of spring, which is equal to xe plus s. So you get on the left side half mv square. The right side you can write mgs plus fs plus half k into xe square minus xe plus s whole square. Can simplify it further. You can simplify this further. Xe plus s whole square can write xe square plus s square plus 2xe into s. So xe square gets cancelled here. So you get mgs plus fs minus half ks square minus half k into 2xe into s. 2 we can cancel. We can write k into xe equal mg in the last term on the right side. So you get mgs plus fs minus half ks square minus mgs. So mgs here and mgs here you can cancel. So finally you get half mv square equal to fs minus half ks square. So s is equal to sm. Sm represents the magnitude of the maximum displacement of the block below its initial position, initial vernal equilibrium position. S equal Sm when V is 0. Just like in the earlier special case, here also magnetic velocity of the block first increases from 0 until it reaches its new equilibrium position. Then it decreases. The magnetic velocity is maximum at the new equilibrium position of the block where net force becomes 0. And the elongation of spring is maximum at the lowest position of the block at which velocity of the block becomes 0. So S equal Sm when V is 0. Therefore, you get half, on the left side you can put a V equal to 0 F into Sm minus half K Sm square. You can simplify this half K Sm square, you can write F into Sm. So maximum displacement of the block below its initial position will be 2F by K. That means the conclusion is similar to the conclusion in the previous case, but here Sm represents not the maximum elongation of spring from natural length. Sm represents the maximum displacement of the block below its original equilibrium position before this application of this force. So if in case you are asked to find maximum elongation of spring from the natural length L0, that means in second figure length of spring is L0 plus Xe plus S. So maximum elongation of spring from its natural length L0 can witness Xe plus S. Xe is the initial elongation in the original equilibrium position of block, which is equal to mg by K plus 2F by K. So next I am going to show you the typed form of the notes, same discussion again. So those who are writing the notes, they can come on, get ready with your notebook and pen. I am going to show you the notes. Look at the screen. The same case 2 again I am showing on the screen. First I am showing you the conclusion. Come on, first copy this conclusion. I will once read it out. Later I will show you the notes for calculation or proof part. Consider a block of mass M suspended by an elastic ideal spring of force constant K, which is initially at rest in the equilibrium position. The constant force of magnitude F is applied vertically downwards on the block, and the maximum displacement of the block is given by Sm equal to F by K. Come on, copy down this conclusion first. Next I will be showing you the notes for the calculation or proof part. So you can observe that the conclusion in case 2 looks similar to the conclusion in case 1, but there is some difference. In the case 1, the block is kept on the horizontal surface, on a smooth horizontal surface. The maximum elongation of spring from natural length is 2F by K. Here, maximum displacement of the block from original equilibrium position of the block is 2F by K. This is not the maximum elongation of spring. Maximum elongation of spring will be, as I explained, 2F by K plus Xe. Xe means elongation of equilibrium position. So in case you need more time to copy this conclusion, you can take a pause and take your time. I'm going to show you the working for this conclusion. This is a figure here. In the figure you can observe from here to here, this represents the natural length of spring denoted by L0. From here to here, this is elongation of spring in the equilibrium, original equilibrium position of the block. And here dotted figure, I have shown the position of the block after application of this constant force, the downward direction. Of course, S is maximum when the position where velocity becomes 0. So maximum elongation of spring, that is elongation of spring from its natural length when the block reaches the lowest position is equal to denoted by Xm, that is equal to Xe plus F. Sm it should be. So come on, all of you copy down both the diagrams. The diagram on the left side, you can observe that L0 is the natural length of spring, that is length of spring when no stretching force is applied. And Xc is the elongation of spring in the original equilibrium position of the block before this constant force F is applied. And S is the magnitude of the displacement of the block in the downward direction after this constant force is applied at up to a particular instant. And Xf is the elongation of spring in the final position of the block, that you can write Xe plus S. Xe is the initial elongation of spring in the original equilibrium position of the block. S is the magnitude of the displacement of the block from this initial position. On the right side, I have shown the free body diagram for the block in the new position of the block after the application of this constant force F in the downward direction. mg acts downward, K magnitude of elastic force by spring is K into Xi acts upwards. Come on, copy both the diagrams first. Next, I am going to show you the working calculation part based on these two diagrams, which you can understand if you copy the two diagrams first. In case you need more time to copy these diagrams, you can take a pause and take your time. I'm going to show you the continuation for this. In the original equilibrium position, calculation part, Kx equal mg in magnitude. So, in the original, I'm showing the calculation for a conclusion in case 2. In the original equilibrium position, Kx equal mg in magnitude. So, work done by the elastic force by spring on the mass m. When elongation of spring changes from xi to xf is given by half kxi square minus xf square. The initial length of spring is denoted by L subscript I, that is can be written as L0 plus xi. Here xi equal to xe. At lower position shown in the figure earlier, the final length of spring you can write L0 plus xf. Xf is the final elongation of spring, or final length of spring you can write L0 plus xe plus f. S is the magnitude of displacement of the block in the downward direction below its original equilibrium position after application of the constant force F in the downward direction. Come on, finish copying up to here. So in case you need more time to copy this working, you can take a pause and take your time. I'm going to show the continuation. So change in the kinetic energy of the block from work energy theorem. You call algebraic sum of work done by all the forces. W subscript capital F represent the work done by the constant force which is applied vertically downwards. W subscript spring represent the work done by elastic force by spring. Wg is the work done by gravitational force of the block. Come on, copy down the working. So in case you need more time to copy this working, you can take a pause and take your own time. So Wf, as explained before, you can write F into S. Work done by elastic force by spring can be found by using this equation. Substitute xi equal to xe and xf is equal to xe plus s. And work done by gravitational force of the block, you can write mgf. So change in kinetic energy is equal to final kinetic energy of the block minus initial kinetic of the block. Initial kinetic energy at the initial position is 0. Xi equal to xe, xf is equal to xe plus s. So we can simplify it further. Xe plus s whole square. So we simplify it further as explained. The next step we can substitute Kxe equal to mg in this term. Within bracket I have written since Kx equal to mg. So minus mgs plus mgs gets cancelled. So you get half mv square equal to fs minus ks square. When s equal to sm, v is 0. Sm represents the maximum displacement of the block below its original equilibrium position. So you get, if you put S equal Sm on the right side, you can put V equal to 0 on the left side. So 0 equal Fsm minus half K Sm square. So half K Sm square equal F into Sm. Come on, all of you. Finish copying the working part. So in case you need more time to copy the working, you can take a pause and take your own time. So you get maximum displacement from equilibrium position, original equilibrium position. Maximum displacement from original equilibrium position. So maximum displacement of the block from original position before application of this constant force is given by Sm equal to F by K. So maximum elongation of spring from its natural length is given by Xm equal Xe plus Sm. X equal mg by K. So mg by K plus 2F by K, you can write mg plus 2F by K. Come on, all of you finish copying up to here. So next I am going to discuss one more special case in potential energy. In case you need more time to copy this, you can take a pause and take your time. So I am going to discuss another special case in potential energy concept. Case 3, I call it as. Again, please stop writing. Just concentrate to listen to me. I will be showing the notes later. Don't write running notes when I am explaining. The notes will be shown to you separately. So I am considering a case where a uniform chain is held on a frictionless table or smooth table with a part of its length hanging from the edge. I am going to calculate the work required to pull the hanging part back onto the surface of the table. So I am considering the case where a uniform chain of total length denoted by capital L is held on the horizontal surface of a smooth and fixed table with part of its length hanging from the edge of the table. Let us suppose 1 by nth part of the length of the chain is hanging from the edge of the table. So 1 by n is a fraction of the length of the chain hanging from the edge of the table. I am going to calculate the minimum work required to pull the chain completely back onto the surface of the table against the gravitational force. For that, we have to calculate increase in the gravitational potential energy. Increase in the gravitational potential chain when it is pulled onto the surface of the table. So here, when the chain is completely pulled back onto the surface of the table, all of you just concentrate only to listen, stop writing. I will be showing you the notes separately. When the chain is completely pulled back onto the surface of the table, the gravitational potential energy of the hanging part of the chain will increase. But the gravitational potential energy of the part of the chain, which is already present on the surface of the table, does not change. As you must be knowing, the gravitational potential energy of a body present near the Earth's surface in the gravitational field of the Earth will change only when its height above the surface of the Earth changes. The gravitational potential energy of the body will not be changed when the body moves in the horizontal direction near the Earth's surface. So when the chain is completely pulled back onto the surface of the table, only the gravitational potential energy of the hanging part of the chain will increase. But the gravitational potential of the part of the chain which is already present on the table does not change, because it is displaced only in the horizontal direction. Therefore, increase in the gravitational potential energy of the chain, I mean increase in the gravitational potential chain when the chain is completely just pulled back onto the surface of the table, can be written as equal to the increase in the gravitational potential energy of the hanging part of the chain GP is a short form for gravitational potential energy. So potential energy, the remaining part of the chain which is already present on the horizontal surface of the table does not change when the chain is pulled onto the surface of the table. Only the gravitational potential hanging part of the chain will increase. Again, all the points of the hanging part are not raised through same vertical height. Therefore, we have to consider the vertical height through which center of mass of the hanging part rises. The chain is uniform, means it has same density and same thickness throughout. In that case, center of mass of the hanging part of the chain will be at the geometric center of the hanging part. That means at a distance half of the length of the hanging part below surface of the table. So the center of mass of the hanging part of the chain will be at a distance equal to L by 2n below the surface of the table. That means half of the length of the hanging part. So increase the gravitational potential hanging part of the chain is equal to mass of the hanging part of the chain multiplied by acceleration due to gravity multiplied by the vertical height through which center of mass of hanging part rises. CM means center of mass. Mass of the hang 1 by nth part of the length of the chain is hanging from the edge. Because it is uniform chain, mass of the hanging part will be 1 by nth of the total mass of chain. Total mass of chain I denote by m. So mass of the hanging part of chain will be m by n. Vertical height through which center of mass of the hanging part rises will be half of the length of the hanging part. That is half of L by n. Therefore, increase in the gravitational potential of the chain when the chain is just pulled back onto surface of the table will be mgl by 2n squared. So the minimum work required to be done by the external agent to pull the chain on completely onto surface of the table can be taken as equal to work done again as a gravitational force on the chain, which is equal to increase in the gravitational potential. That means we assume that there is a negligible change in the kinetic energy of the chain when it is pulled completely onto surface of the table slowly at uniform speed. So minimum work to be done by the pulling force applied by an external agent to pull the chain completely back onto surface of the table will be equal to mgl by 2n square. For example, if you are given that 1 by 5th of the length of the chain is hanging from the edge of the table, that means 1 by n is 1 by 5, then n equal to 5. So if n equal to 5, then the minimum work required to pull the chain completely onto surface of the table will be mgl by 2 into n square means 5 square. Or you get minimum work required to be done will be mgl by 50. That's how this result can be directly used in objective questions. So I am going to show the notes for the same case. Now get ready with your pen and notebook. So next I am going to show you the notes for same case study here. Come on, copy down the conclusion first. First I have shown the conclusion on the screen. I will once read out this conclusion. Consider a uniform chain of mass M and total length L held on a frictionless table with 1/nth part of its length hanging from the edge of the table. The minimum work required to pull the chain completely back onto the surface of the table is given by W subscript minimum equal mgl by 2n square. Come on, copy down the conclusion. Next, I am going to show you the working part for this conclusion, which I discussed earlier. In case you need more time to copy the conclusion, you can take a pause and take your time. This is a figure showing the chain here. L is the total length of chain, length of the hanging part is L by N. The center of mass of the hanging part is initial at a distance L by 2n below the surface of the table. That means the chain is pulled completely back onto the surface of the table. Center of mass of the hanging part rises by this distance L by 2n. Come on, copy on this figure. In case you need more time to copy this, you can take a pause and take your time. So increase in the gravitational potential of the chain is equal to increase in the gravitational potential of the hanging part, which you can write mass of the hanging part into G multiplied by vertical height through which center of mass of hanging part rises. Mass of the hanging part is 1/nth of the total mass, you can write m by n. Height, vertical height to the center of mass hanging part rises L by 2n. So you get delta U means change in the potential, gravitational potential change is mgl by 2n square. So minimum work required to pull the chain completely back onto the surface of table is equal to increase in the gravitational potential chain. That is equal to mgl by 2n square. Come on, finish copying this. So in case you need more time to copy this, you can take a pause and take your time. Next, I am going to discuss the again work energy theorem for system of particles in a more general way and conservation of mechanical energy. So earlier, I have discussed the work energy theorem. So I have discussed work energy theorem as we applied for a block of mass m or for a rigid body. So when you are applying work energy theorem for a block of mass m or for a rigid body of mass m, you can say that change in the kinetic energy of the block or change in the kinetic energy of the rigid body is equal to total work done by all the external forces acting on the rigid body, irrespective of the nature of the forces. That means work energy theorem holds good even when the body is under action of non-conservative forces. That means change in the kinetic energy of the body will be equal to total work done by all the forces acting on the body, irrespective of whether the forces are conservative or non-conservative, including both conservative and non-conservative. So when you apply work energy theorem for a system of particles, we can say this way: the change in the kinetic energy of system of particles is equal to total work done by all the forces, including the external and internal forces. For example, let us consider the case of two small beads or two small identical charged ions, for example 2 protons or 2 alpha particles. They are released from rest in vacuum with a small separation between them. Let us suppose here both the particles carry same charge q. They may be 2 alpha particles or 2 protons, and or there may be two small beads carrying equal and similar charges placed on a smooth horizontal insulating surface with a small separation between them. Call these particles as 1 and 2. So the first particle experiences a Coulomb repulsion away from second particle. So F bar 1, 2 is the Coulomb repulsion on the first particle by second particle. The second particle experiences a Coulomb repulsion away from the first particle. You need not copy all this discussion, you just listen now. F bar 2 1 is the Coulomb repulsion on second particle by the first particle, which acts away from first particle. So if the two particles carry similar charges, and if they are released from rest with a small separation between them, then they start moving away from each other. Then let us apply work energy theorem only for first particle. The two particles are placed on a smooth horizontal insulating surface, so weight of each particle is balanced by normal reaction. By surface, or in the case of subatomic particles like two protons or two alpha particles separated a small distance, can neglect the gravitational force between the particles compared to the theoretical force. That will be discussed second year, of course, again. So the two particles are released from rest with a small separation. So if you apply work energy theorem for first particle, change in the kinetic energy of the first particle is equal to work done by the force on first particle by second particle. That is work done by the force F bar 1, 2. This is positive because the first particle begins to move in the direction of this force. Similarly, applying work energy theorem for second particle, change in the kinetic energy of the second particle is equal to work done by the force on second particle by first particle. This is also positive here because the second particle moves in the direction of the force F bar 2 1. When the force acts in the direction of displacement of the particle, work done by the force is positive. So change in kinetic energy of each particle is positive in the present discussion. So change in the kinetic energy of system of the two particles is equal to change in the kinetic energy of the first particle plus change in the kinetic energy of second particle. That is equal to work done by the force F bar 1, 2 plus work done by the force F bar 2, 1. Suppose when we consider the two particles together as one system, then the force F bar 1, 2 can be called as an internal force. The force F bar 2, 1 is also an internal force. So in the present example, the change in the kinetic energy of the two particles is equal to sum of the work done by the internal forces. I mean, when no work is done by the external forces on the system, or work done by the external force on the system is negligible, change in the kinetic system of particles is equal to total sum of the work done by internal forces between the particles. So in general, I mean, if you earlier have discussed the work energy theorem for a rigid body. So when you are applying work energy theorem for a rigid body, for example, a block of mass m, then change in the kinetic energy of the rigid body or change the kinetic of the block of mass m can be taken as equal total work done by all the external forces acting on the block. So in that case, work done by the internal forces is suppose 0. So in the general case, change in the kinetic energy, I mean when talking about the work energy theorem for system of particles. So change in the kinetic energy of system of particles is equal total work done by all the forces, including external forces and internal forces on the system. So W1, W2, W3, etc. up to Wn represents work done by individual forces on the system. So in general, change in the kinetic energy of a system of particles is equal to total work done by all the forces, including internal forces and external forces. The internal forces may be conservative in some cases, and sometimes maybe some of the forces on the system, some of the external forces on the system, maybe are internal forces, maybe non-conservative forces. So, in general, change in the kinetic energy of system of particle, total work done by all the forces, including internal forces and external forces, which you can write it as total work done by all the forces on the system, including work done by the internal forces and external forces. You can write work done by the conservative forces on the system plus work done by other forces. Therefore, change in the kinetic energy of system of particles is equal to total work done by all the forces, including external forces and internal forces. And this total work done by all the forces can be written as sum of two terms, WC plus W naught. Here WC represents total work done by all the conservative forces on the system. Please don't write the notes now. You will be shown the notes separately. You can write the notes separately in the type form. W naught represents work done by other forces, which are not conservative. So WC represents total work done by all the conservative forces on the system. W naught, W subscript O represents work done by other forces which may not be conservative. But from definition of concept of change in potentiality of system of particles, when system passes from one state to another state, given by minus WC. That means delta U can be written as minus WC. Delta U represents change in the potential of system. When system passes from one initial state I to another final state F. Or WC you can write minus delta U. So in this equation, you can substitute here WC equal to minus delta U on the right side. Therefore, you can write delta Ke equal to minus delta U plus W naught. Substituting WC equal to minus delta U. Minus delta U can carry to the left side. So delta Ke plus delta U equal to W naught. So again, writing the same equation, change in the kinetic energy of system of particles is equal to total work done by all the forces, including work done by conservative forces and work done by other forces. The work done by conservative forces you can write minus delta U. Delta U will change in the potential system. Therefore, change in the kinetic energy of system plus change in the potential system when the system passes from one initial state I to another final state F is equal to work done by other forces which are not conservative. Change in the kinetic energy of system, we can write kinetic energy in the final state minus kinetic energy in the initial state. K subscript I represent the kinetic energy of the system in the initial state. K subscript F represent the kinetic energy of the system in the final state. Delta is the change in the potential system, that you can write UF minus UI. UI is the potential of the body or system in the initial state. UF is the potential of the body or system in the final state. That you can write equal to W naught. That means I have written delta K equal to KF minus KI, delta U equal to UF minus UI. So collecting the terms in the final state, KF plus UF minus KI plus UI equal to W naught. Ki is the initial kinetic of the body or system. Ui is the initial potential energy of the body or system in the given example. The sum of the kinetic energy and potential energy of system is called as the total mechanical energy of system. So Ki plus Ui will be denoted by EI, capital E subscript I, which represents the total mechanical energy of system, shortly written as TME. Total mechanical system is the initial state. Total of the body or system is the initial state. And Kf plus Uf will be equal to E denoted by Ef, which is called total mechanical system in the final state. Therefore, you can write Kf plus Uf equal to Ef. On the left side here, Ki plus Ui equal to Ei. Therefore, you can write when the system passes from one state to another state, total mechanical system in the final state minus total mechanical system in the initial state is equal to work done by the other forces which are not conservative. Or change in the total mechanical energy of the system is equal to work done by other forces which are not conservative. That means or change in the total mechanical system is equal to work done by other forces which are not conservative or work done by non-conservative forces. While solving problems in conservative mechanical energy, we come across two types of problems. In some of the problems, the body or system may move only under acts of conservative forces. In other problems, the body or system may move under acts of conservative forces and a single non-conservative force or frictional force may also act on the body. Suppose if no work is done by other forces which are not conservative, then delta E will be 0. So I will continue my discussion in my next class.